Hi, I'm Stephanie Schultz, Vice President of Retail and Manufacturing, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the reality of change in today's market. One of the things we often hear is that people are feeling burnt out. And I think in a lot of times people think of burnout as I'm just overworked. And when you talk about the labor shortages, it makes sense because you're doing the work of more than one person, or maybe your team was cut to half staff. But it's oftentimes the difference between what we believe is the ideal for our workplace versus the reality of the situation. And in a lot of cases, that is something that is deeply entrenched. It might be something that is the culture of the place that you work or the team that you work on, and you might be thinking of it that way. But I would also say that it's important to take a look at yourself and just ask the question, is the ideal of how I work, is that defined by the values and beliefs that I have for how the ideal workplace looks? So one of the ways that you can define burnout is the difference between the ideals of what we think the work life should be and what the realities of the work situation are. Going back to the human capital shortage, we know we have to cut things out. I was talking with a CEO who ended up having to make the decision to downsize at the beginning of the pandemic. In that conversation with his team, obviously a very hard conversation, but they all had the discussion about needing to cut work out of the system because there are less people to do it. Everybody agreed it was a great idea, and ultimately they said, yes, that's what we're going to work for. Fast forward a year from the time of that happening, and everybody was just doing more work. What had happened is they didn't truly embark on the deep change that they needed to go that last 5%. They made the hard decision up front that they had to cut people, but at the end of the day, they were all still using the same systems. So you could literally, if you're talking figuratively, burn the building down, but if you rebuild it with the same blueprint and the same systems and show up and do the same work that you did, you're going to end up with the same amount of work needing to be done by less people. So I think the thing to keep in mind is that culture is definitely malleable, but it's also really sticky, and it can take a lot to make that shift. So just being aware of that, and again, taking a look at what's in place and what systems need to truly be changed. One of the things when we're talking reality of change here at InitiativeOne, we often use the boat reference. We say everybody needs to get in the boat, cross that line of commitment, and once you start rowing, keep going. The reality is that change is not starting out there. The reality is it starts in here. Leadership is way more than just being a leader in the workplace. Leadership starts as a person, and it requires personal change and growth. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up, and we'd love to see your comments below about how the realities of change in the workforce are affecting you. Okay. I really wish we would have been live. Oh, it's so good. This should not be this awkward. Sorry.